trying to get used of this whole setup with the lighting, my fancy new camera, playing with light balance, frames per second. This is all new to me, and I feel like a fish out of water. So let me know at the end of this video, if you've made it through the end, how it looked, because I'm not sure if I like this, my background, my setup. I'm standing. I prefer to sit, and I just haven't found the right space in my home to do that. So I think I'm overthinking this whole thing. This is just makeup, guys. I have to tell myself, this is just tutorials, makeup. I'm sharing what I love. By the way, my name's Claudia. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm gonna be sharing my signature makeup look. This is a look that I have worn in some form or another for the last few decades. I think I started really honing in on this look probably in the mid 2000s, and I just, I've changed some little things here and there. Some of the colors I use might be a little different, but this is my signature eye look, and I go to this look whenever I want to feel extra pretty, extra glam. This is a look that I can count on, and I'm going to share that with you, and hopefully you'll learn some new tips and kind of see how I go from this to a very glam makeup look. So let's get started. And I thought this might be a really good time for me to answer some basic questions that I get asked often on my Instagram, which, by the way, is the Beauty Debut. Would love if you'd follow me over there. But I'm really going to try to spend more time here on YouTube. I think I'm going to enjoy this longer form content because as an esthetician and makeup artist, I really love going into more detail and chatting and talking more. And, Instagram just doesn't allow that, quite frankly. So I pulled my hair out of the way. And as I said, I think I'm going to answer the most commonly asked questions. And this is only my second video I'm posting on YouTube in longer format. So this will be a way also for, if you're new here, to kind of learn a little bit more about me. And hopefully you'll join me on this journey and follow along. And yeah, so let me do it. All right, so I'm just going to prep my skin with a little bit of moisturizer. I'm going to be using the Charlottle Tilbury Magic Cream. This is a cream I've used a lot, and I know this is kind of controversial, this cream, by the way. Some people have found dupes for it. I don't know. I've always loved Charlottle Tilbury products, and you'll see me be using a lot of it today. And I gave myself a peel. When did I give myself a peel? A couple days ago, and my skin is really dry. I feel like I'm going to be flaking right here. So this probably wasn't the best time to do this tutorial, but I had time today and I wanted to feel a little glam today. But I can feel like on my skin, it feels a little rough. Like I think I'm going to peel there. I think I got a little carried away. I was trying a new product, trying a new peel, and that's what happens when you experiment on your skin. You just don't know what you're gonna get, so. But this cream offers just a really good base for makeup. I enjoy it, and I'm sure there are dupes out there, but I don't know. There's just something about Charlottle Tilbury that I love, and it just feels luxe, and I like that. Okay, let's move on. All right, so next I'm gonna prep my lips. I'm gonna use the Charlottle Tilbury Collagen Lip Bath. There are a lot of good lip products that hydrate the lips. If you find that your lips get dry often, chances are you're probably drinking too much coffee, guilty as charged, and you're gonna need a good lip hydrator. I like to put these on before I do my makeup, so by the time that I get to my lipstick, it is hydrated. And then I usually take this off and I go in with my lip product. But this is very hydrating. And like I said, there's a lot of good ones out there, but this is one of my tried and true. What we're doing again is I'm sharing all of the products that I've used for years and they've kind of become part of my signature look. It's not to say that I can't use another lip hydrator. I'm sure it would work just as fine. But I've pulled out all the things that that have been my go-tos over the course of these years. So that's what I'm gonna do. Next, I'm going to do my brows. I'm just gonna use the Makeup by Mario palette to do this. Now this is obviously not a palette I've had forever because it's fairly new to the market, I mean. And I'm gonna use a small brush, but I just always have used just a basic, like cool brown tone to fill in my brows. I don't really invest in specific brow powders or pencils. They're lovely. I just always use an eyeshadow because my brows, to be quite honest, are pretty full. I just need to fill in a few little gaps, and that's what I'm gonna do here. Just gonna fill that in. Just going in short strokes and dipping into that cool brown. Just kind of looking into a mirror over here, sorry. Again, like I gotta get used to this way to film. Any tips? If you are a fellow YouTuber, let me know. All tips are welcome. And then I'm just gonna do this right in here. Okay, so let's get into the first question that I get often, and that is my age. How old am I? I don't have it in my bio on Instagram because you're only allotted so much space on there, and there's other things that I think are more important than your age. But I am 57. I just turned 57 in January 29th. Where are all my fellow Aquarius people? Comment below what your sign is. I'm kind of into astrology for fun. I don't really take it like too seriously, but you know, it's kind of interesting when you look up some of the characteristics of your sign. It's like, how did they know this about me? And I am through and through an Aquarius, and I've even had my, what do you call it? My moon and my sun looked into, or they did my birth chart. And I am an Aquarius through and through. I think in my moon I'm a Scorpio. My favorite brow gel of all time is the NYX Brow Glue. And I know that technically you're supposed to put this on first, let it dry, and then go in and fill. I break all the rules. I do my brows with the powder, as you've seen, or the eyeshadow, and then I go in. So this is actually a clear gel, but if you look up close, it's pretty murky. Looks pretty swampy, but that's because some of my brown eyeshadow gets put back in there. Who cares? It's just me. And I pretty much get a new one of these every month or so because I use it that much. Are you guys into that brow lamination? I've never gotten my brows laminated. This just works just as well in my opinion, and I don't know if I want my brows standing straight up all the time. This just allows me to kind of give a little control, give a little definition in there, but I always take it and just kind of blend that edge. I don't really like them like straight up. Maybe here in the front I do, but not everywhere. I don't know. That's just me. Again, we're doing my signature look. Now this, I didn't always do this. I used to use a hairspray and a clean old mascara wand and brush up my brows. That was before brow glues and brow lamination became a thing. But this brow glue is the best. I absolutely love it. But, you know, you could just use hairspray and a clean mascara wand. Works good. If you're in a pinch, try that. All right, so I think that makes a huge difference in how my face is framed already. I'm loving it. Next, I'm going to use, I just got a new one of these because it's one of my tried and trues, the Flawless Filter. This is in shade 4.5. This stuff is beautiful. And again, when I'm doing like a full-on glam look, this is part of the equation for me. So I'm gonna apply this. This gives a great illumination, and I do have a little hyperpigmentation, and I can color correct. I could go in with a peachy or orange concealer, but a lot of times what I find works well for me is just using a highlighter like this or a skin illuminator, because it reflects light and takes kind of the focus away from some of that darkness that I have there. And, you know, it just does a nice job of brightening the skin. I wouldn't use this necessarily. I wouldn't recommend this if you have a lot of texture on your skin. But I absolutely love the Hollywood filter. It's so pretty. All right. While that's just kind of doing its thing, I let that set for a while. I'm going to use some tape to give myself a little guide as I do my eyes. I honestly was laughing to myself because I use this a lot now, but when I was younger, I never used it because my eyes were so taut, and you know, my eyes always kind of slanted up a little bit and they were nice and tight. Well, of course, I'm 57, you know, they're a little droopier. And so the tape just really helps me get that crisp line, and I'm just applying it right under my lashes there and kind of angled up. And I just put that there. And that's going to be my guide for my eyeshadow. So this works like a charm. Surgical tape. And it just gives me that nice crisp edge. So that's what I do. Okay, so the shadows that I have used for years for my signature look are 4 shadows from MAC. There's a color called Wedge, and if you've lived through the 90s, you know Wedge well. This is it. I also use a color called Sketch. This has been a classic color that I've used forever. And the other one that I use a lot is one, I think it's called Folie. Use that one a lot. And then for inner corner, I use Naked Lunch. I recently just bought a few of these again because I did a video about like the 90s and the music, and these shadows I've used for years, so these are it. I recently also, though, just got the Victoria Beckham palette, and this is called Victoria. It's her eye wardrobe, and this one has all of those same tones. So this one is another one that I have been loving for my signature look. And sometimes I do this signature look with blacks and grays. It's really just where I'm placing the shadow. So I could do this with, like I said, dark browns. I could do this with dark grays and black tones, or these brown plum tones, which I most often do. So that's what I'm going to be using today. I'm going to stick with my MAC. I'm going to show you the look, although I'm really tempted to use this one because I've been wearing this lately and I absolutely love the way this looks. Decisions. I don't know. Part of me wants to use this, but I'm going to stick with the tried and true, the ones I've been using for years, because that's what this video is. All right, so I'm going to go in with a little concealer on my lid, just a little dot like that. I'm going to blend this out. By the way, Real Techniques, best brushes ever. I have so many of these brushes. They're so good. You know, because I was a huge fan, I still am, of Sam and Nicole Chapman. They used to be called Pixiwoo. They were one of the original YouTubers for makeup, and I have been following them forever. Now they're just on Instagram, and they have YouTube channels separately now, but they were a collaborator with Real Technique brushes, and being a huge fan that I was of them, I bought everything they collaborated on. And these are really good. Okay, so that is on. Now I'm going to go in with Wedge, and I'm going to use that. This is a Morphe brush. This is M33. Don't count on that because I don't have my readers on, but I think that's what it is. And I'm going to apply that on my lid, working up into my eye socket. And see, this is why I like the tape, because I can go beyond the tape, but knowing that it's not going to look messy when I'm done. And I'm not going clear up to the brow, just right before. Blending that. Okay, that's Wedge. Doing this one. I'm not, you know what? I haven't been answering the questions, have I? Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. All right, let's talk about the next question I get a lot, obviously, is my gray hair. When did I go gray? I had everything on my Instagram. There's highlight bubbles with the whole story. But basically, in 2021, in September, I just decided I was done with coloring my hair. I was having to color my hair every 2 weeks. And it just got, you know, the fun and the joy of coloring my hair wasn't there anymore. I have worked in spa and salon my whole career, so I've had, you know, highlights, I've had several different colors of, you know, hair from light brown to almost blonde. I mean, I did it all. And I started going gray. I started noticing gray hairs in my early 30s. And I've always colored, so I wasn't really worried about my grays. But it got to the point where I would get my roots done, and literally 2 weeks later, you'd start to see, you know, the little white line, and I was using powders and sprays. And going to the salon every 2 weeks, just, it wasn't fun anymore. It was expensive. And then I would sometimes, you know, do my own root touch-up at home, and it was messy. It never worked quite as well as obviously getting it professionally done. And I was just over it, completely over it. And I just decided, which I do a lot of things like that. If I make up my mind, it's done. And that's what I did. I was following some women on Instagram, you know, that were going through the process, and that was so inspiring. And so if you're thinking about going gray, you can look up the hashtag Silver Sisters. You'll find somebody that looks similar to you that is growing out their gray, and it's really helpful to connect and to see other women doing it, how they style their hair as the gray's coming in. You can see the whole process, but basically it's a year to your ear. That's how long it takes just to get the gray down to about here. So it took me a good 4 years, and I did it cold turkey. I kind of feel a little badass about that. Like, yeah, I didn't do any gray blending. I didn't do anything to help it along. I just grew it out, and highly recommend. It was the best thing I've ever done. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with Folie. This is a brown shade, and it's a great one to have in your makeup collection if you don't. And I'm going to put this on my lid, not as high as I did Sketch, but just mainly on my lid. And blending that, kind of fading it into Wedge. And I'll definitely come back with Wedge and blend that out. All right, so the next question that I get a lot is if I'm married. And the answer is currently no, I was married. I can probably do a whole video on that whole experience. I don't think I ever want to get married again, okay? My ex-husband, he did pass away a couple of years ago. And, you know, I have dreams about him all the time. He comes to me in my dreams. We were very good friends for many years before we became a couple. And, you know, honestly, we should have stayed friends. We were better friends than we were partners or love interest or that. But, you know, people say marry your best friend, right? Well, that's what I did, and it just wasn't a good fit. Anyway, I can do a whole video on that if you're interested. It's a good story. So anyway, I was married, and we divorced in the end of 2017. So almost 2018. And yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to get married again. It would take someone super special for me to want to do that again. I think I'm happiest when I'm on my own. And when I look back at my life, the times I've been happiest, I've been single. And that's, I don't know. I don't know if marriage is necessarily for everybody. And at this stage in my life, I'm not obviously going to have any children. So I don't know if marriage is the end goal. And I don't even know, honestly, if I even want a partner. I'm happy right now with how my life is. I feel very fulfilled. I feel very happy, and I don't know if I want to change that. I'm open. I don't ever like to close myself off and say never, because one thing I've learned in life is never say never. That is like one of the worst things you can do is say, I would never. It's like, you don't know what you would do. Things happen. Life throws curveballs all the time. But as of right now, I would say I'm not looking. I'm happy. And if something came along, or if that was in God's plan for me, great. But if it's not going to be in the plan, I'm good. Good. And trust me, I've lived, okay? I had a great time in my 20s and 30s and even in my 40s. So I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything or any kind of life experience when it comes to men or dating. Okay, so now I'm going to take Sketch. And this I'm going to apply on this outer corner and then blending up. Just like that. Do you see it coming together? And I do like to wing this out. And I'm kind of bringing that almost halfway in. This works really good if you do have almond eyes, which I do, always have. And that brings me to my next question that I get is what my nationality is. I am Mexican. My second generation. My mom and dad were both born in Chicago, and that's where I'm originally from. I've only lived out west for the last few years. I am a Midwest girl. I'm a Chicago girl. One of my goals is to be living in both. I want to spend spring and summer in Chicago and then winters in Vegas. That's what I'm working really hard to make happen for my life. I would love to do that because I get the best of both worlds then. Because one thing I do not miss about Chicago are the winters. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I like change of season and it's nice for a little while, maybe like for Christmas, to have a white Christmas, but then I'm done. Taking Wedge again and blending out those corners. I love MAC eyeshadows. Okay, we're getting there. All right, now I'm gonna take a fluffy brush And I'm just gonna blend out all the edges here. And I do have to lift my lid to do that because when I let it down, I do have little creases. It's just part of getting older. And I am embracing aging, embracing changes. And I'm just learning new skills to work around and to make this work for me. And I'll do a video about my journey to get to this place. It wasn't an easy journey, and it's still a work in progress. Okay, so now I'm going to take this tape off, and I may have to clean up a little bit underneath my eye, which is why I do my foundation last, because I don't like fallout. And so doing it this way, I don't have to worry. I can clean this up, do my foundation, and it's perfect. So I'm just going to clean up a little bit of that, and I'll be right back. So next I'm going to do my eyeliner. I'm going to use just a gel liner. I have used many different gel liners over the years. Right now what I have in my possession is, this is Orb from Ritual de Fille. I really love this gel liner. It's one of the good ones, and it's what I've been using lately. I've used all different types of eyeliners. I guess if I was really going to go old school, I would pull out my red Maybelline pencil. In fact, you know what? Let me do that. Do you guys remember the Maybelline? If you do, you are one of my ride or dies, so comment below. But this is what we've done. I've done this since high school. I'm an expert. Just light it with a match or a lighter. Let that dry. This is literally the best long wear eyeliner you will ever use. So if you get your liner like underneath your eye, if you close your eyes, if it transfers, this is old school, guys, okay? You're gonna find some of that on my channel. There's some things that are just old school that work, and this is one of them. So just let that cool, and I'm gonna go in and start creating my wing. Now, I used to go all the way in when I was younger and do like a full cat eye. I find that now, my lid's being a little heavier, it just doesn't look as good. So I really focus the wing just on that outer corner and kind of taper that in. I don't go all the way in anymore. And so I'm just gonna start that here. And I really just do a baby wing nowadays because of my slight hood on my eye. It just looks better. Okay, that's what I did. This is the best liner, I'm telling you. Okay, so now that I did it with that pencil, I am gonna go in with Orb and just kind of deepen this up. What I like about Orb from Ritual de Fille is it's smudge proof, and it is really nice and dark and black, and I really like that. Do you see how I did that? Now, one thing that I've done forever, and I will always do, I just prefer this look on me, is I never put eyeliner underneath my eye. I really don't like it in my waterline. I keep everything up. That's how I do it. I don't like anything under my eye. Very rarely will I do that. I just prefer all of the dark color to be on top. And again, signature look, this is part of it. I'm a no bottom line girl. Okay, so just clean that up there. All right, now it's time for my false lashes. I use Demi Wispies. These are my go-to. I don't know, I have probably bought millions of these. So I am going to apply these, attempt to apply these on camera. And I use the Duo eyelash glue in black, or dark tone it's called. It just dries black, and that to me is the best because it blends in with my eyeliner if there's any like tiny mistakes, which at this point I've mastered this, so I usually can do this pretty easy. And I'm just gonna take a Q-tip with a little bit of the glue and just get it right on that band. What I like about these Ardell lashes is that the band is invisible, they're very lightweight, they're super flexible, and they're very easy to apply. I have used other lashes that have a very thick band or it's just not as flexible. I hate those. And those always end up popping up on the edge. They just feel heavy. With Ardell, with this style, you can't even feel them. Once the glue dries, you forget that you're wearing them. They're so lightweight. And I love the taper look of these. So these start off smaller and they just get larger towards the outer eye, the outer corner, which I love. Just kind of accentuates my eye shape beautifully. And then once the glue's on there, I'll just kind of bend it a little bit. And we want to let that glue set. Okay? And I always apply to my outer corner first. And I don't curl my lashes because that makes it harder to put on these lashes. I know you see people saying curl your lashes and then put the false. No, don't do that. I'm just going to apply this and set that in the corner. I don't worry about this flipping up. I'm going to let it dry a little bit. Okay, now once it sets there for a little bit, then I take a tweezer and I'm just going to grab this lash here and I'm just going to attach it right to the base of my lash and give a little pinch. And that's how I do it. Very easy. The other one's been setting, so this should really go on a lot easier. I'm just going to apply it to the outer corner first. Let that sit for a few minutes, a few seconds, not minutes, and then take the tweezer and attach the end. Okay, and so while that's drying, I am going to take a light color by Makeup by Mario. You could use any light shade. I'm going to do this one. And I'm just going to blend that on the brow bone. All right, so another question is, do I have children? And the answer is no. I am one of those unicorns that never wanted children. I never had, my biological clock never ticked. I had never thought about it. I just never had that in my eyesight. Like I never considered it. I just, yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. But, you know, I've heard it all from people. Sorry, I'm just kind of moving that out of the way. I've heard it all from people like, oh, you're going to regret it one day. Who's going to take care of you when you're older? You know, there's a lot of judgment on women who decide not to have kids. And I think one of the rudest questions is really to ask someone, you know, why they don't have kids. I just really don't ever bring that up with people because I know that for some women, they can't. And that is just like stabbing an open wound, you know? So I don't like being asked why or am I going to? I mean, I don't get that question anymore now that I'm in my 50s, but I used to be told all the time, you know, when someone asked me, do you have kids? And I would say, no. Oh, you're going to change your mind. It's the best thing you'll ever do. You don't know love until you have a kid. And that all may be true. I know that, you know, women that have children that obviously they can't imagine their lives without. Well, it's the same for me. I never had them, so I can't imagine my life if I did. It was just a choice that I made. I don't regret it. And I'm happy with that decision. I am a lot of times super grateful that I didn't have kids. So no judgment on those who choose to. I think it should be every woman's choice and we shouldn't be judged. And there's a lot of other ways to mother. I feel like I have mothered my clients. I have mothered and nurtured my friends. I have dogs, and you know, there's more than one way to mother. And I think that it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't part of my plan, and which is very rare for being Mexican. I'll say that, I'll speak to that. Our culture is all about family, and it's very unusual. I think me and maybe one other cousin in my whole large family were the only ones that didn't have kids. You know, all my cousins had kids. All my friends in high school and in early, you know, college and in my 20s, everyone had kids. I just never did, and I never wanted to. So, and there's obviously some reasons behind that. And again, that could be for another video. I'm happy to share how I think I got to that point. But I don't regret it. Not at all. Okay, so what I did there while I was blabbing was use the Exagger-Eyes mascara from Charlotte Tilbury and blended my lashes with the false lashes. Are you guys seeing this come together? All right, I'm gonna go back with a little bit more of my Charlotte Tilbury. Again, like I said, this is really good for darkness. So I like to even put a little bit of this right around my eye area. And just kind of blend that into the inner corner and a little bit below. Now, if you have perfect, flawless skin, this is just pretty on its own. But because I have a little pigmentation, I am going to use a little foundation just to even that out. Gosh, I forgot how much I love this flawless filter. I'm going to have to put this back on my counter and use this every day again. It's so good. This is such a good product. Foundation, when I want to go all flawless, another Charlotte product. This is the Airbrush Flawless. I'm in 7.5 is the color that I wear. You only need a drop of this. I'm going to shake it up a little bit because it's been a minute since I've used this. I've been using so many new foundations. This is all I use is a little drop. I've been using a lot of new foundations since being on the Sephora squad, so I have found some new favorites, but as I said, we're doing signature look, and when I discovered the Flawless filter, or this Flawless, what is this? Airbrush Flawless, I couldn't use anything else. It's so good. Like I said, for a high glam look, when I want to feel extra pretty, this is the one I use. And I'm just pouncing that into the skin with the best sponge in the whole world. Now, I love Beauty Blender, and I love supporting that brand because it's Latina owned, but this sponge, it's just better. This one is by Stand Out, and I think it's Stand Out. And it's soft, you don't need to wet it. It's like the old school sponges that I used to use as a makeup artist from the 90s. And they stopped making sponges like that because Beauty Blender kind of took over the makeup world. But this one is really, you won't ever go back to Beauty Blender if you use this sponge. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry, Beauty Blender. I love you too, but I gotta be honest, this one is better. Okay, you can see that really covered, evened everything out. And now we're gonna add a little color back in, and I'm gonna do a little concealer. I'll do my concealer last. Okay, let me grab my favorite contour wand, also by Charlotte Tilbury. Sorry guys, this is not sponsored by Charlotte Tilbury, although I wouldn't mind a collab with Charlotte Tilbury. Let's just put that out into a manifestation. I love the contour wand from Charlotte Tilbury. This is such a beautiful, beautiful contour wand. I'm just gonna do, I like to do it higher up. A lot of people will put their contour low, which makes sense, right? But you know, when you squeeze in your cheeks, kind of see that. But you don't want to put it that low. I don't anyway. And I hate to say don'ts, and I don't like all the rules for women over 50 either, like don't do this, don't do that. Makeup is about expression and fun, and I don't ever like to say don't. If it works for you, great. How I prefer it for my face is I go a little higher than the actual contour, because then we're gonna blend and it's gonna sculpt, okay? I'm gonna just do a little light dot here. And I'm gonna take this, and I like to do this with a, right off this little tip here and onto a brush. Wipe off some excess on my hand, and I'm gonna come in and just do a little sculpting here from the brow down. Very lightly. We don't need to go nuts with sculpting. This wasn't a thing until like just, like 10 years ago, became a thing to totally sculpt for everyday makeup looks. We only used to do this like for photo shoots, but now it's a thing. People are sculpting every day, all day. Okay, I'm gonna take a brush, and I'm just going to go kind of towards the hairline. And actually, if you're truly sculpting, I would use something a little cooler toned. But this is, I guess, bronze and sculpt. Do you see how that's so subtle? We don't want anything too crazy. And you can even do this before you do your foundation. I do that sometimes, the underpainting. And I will go back with my sponge, which has a little bit of foundation on it, and tap into that, really blend that. Okay, I'm just taking a little under my chin. You can see I placed some dots up here. Just kind of warming up that forehead into that hairline. Blending that. The key is just to really subtle. I don't like it to look so obvious. And then I just go back in with this. All right, so I'm gonna use Tint Idol Concealer. This is number 360N. And I'm gonna just apply a very small amount. I generally will put this on my hand and then blend it out, but I don't know. I don't know why I didn't do that. Normally I do. Let me just get some of that, because I just don't want a lot. I think we can always add more, but we don't want to add too much. And I'm gonna blend that right into my inner corner and all the way out towards here. Here's another thing that I don't do that I know a lot of people do, is I don't like to bring the concealer clear up to my lash line. I like to leave a little bit of that natural darkness that I have there. I just leave that. I think that looks much more natural than to have it clearly all the way up to the lashes. And also, because obviously as we get older we have a little bit more texture or fine lines there, I just kind of really leave that area alone. Really, I just want to brighten right under here and into that inner corner. And I'm stippling, which means I'm just kind of pouncing. I don't blend out and rub everything away. I used to be a huge fan of the Bobbi Brown, it was called Pale Pink Blush, but lately that's kind of the tone that I go for. But this one, Starfish Island from Loreal, is absolutely, I think, one of my favorite all-time blushes. It's the perfect blend of pink, a little bit of peach, and because it's marbled, it gives a shimmer, a nice little glow to your cheek as well. So I use this a lot for this signature look. Okay, and I'm just gonna apply that right up and through here. It is such a beautiful, beautiful blush. This whole palette, by the way, is great. This one is the Best of the Best Tuscany Dreams palette. It's beautiful. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Okay, so next I'm going to take Naked Lunch. This is the other final MAC shade, and I'd like to put a little in my inner corner. And I like to take, if it's evening, I'll take a little and just apply it right up there. Just a little smidge. I know that's not in anymore, but again, old school. And if it's evening, I think that's fine. Okay. Now lips, I've always gone for that nude lip, kind of a, I guess, you know, 80s or 90s Pam Anderson vibe. Endless Cacao is great. I've used so many different types. Foxy Brown by Charlotte Tilbury is another great option. There was a color called Earth by, who made that one? Sorme, which is like a drugstore brand. So good. And I'm just gonna line and take off that glossy. All right, so another question I get is what I do for a living is, you know, do I do social media full time? Well, now the answer is yeah. I recently pulled the trigger and I'm gonna do this full time. It's very freaking scary, but I'm doing it. Could always go back to what I was doing before. I have been an esthetician. I started off as a makeup artist in the early 90s and then went to aesthetic school and then became an esthetician. So I've been working in beauty for over 35 years and I love doing aesthetics. It's a passion of mine and I'll always do that in some capacity for sure. I don't do makeup anymore except on myself, but I love giving facials and doing skincare. And then in my latter part of my career, I worked in corporate beauty. So I served as VP of sales for a couple of different professional skincare brands and makeup brands. So I walked away from that and I'm now doing this full time. So Raquel is my #1 go-to by NARS. They've discontinued this. I have since found some that can make up for this. Nothing is exact. I'm going to use it because I bought these all off of Amazon when I knew they were discontinued. So I have some backups to last me a few years. But it's such a pretty pink. It's perfect. But they don't make it anymore. So what I've been going to lately is Fairest Nude by Maybelline. It's really pretty. I like this just as well. Of course, the formula from this one was so amazing, and I just loved the nude, the little bit of pink. I recently just ordered a couple that I found at the Sephora sale, so when I get those, I'll do a video on those. Because I'm always looking for that. I can never have enough nude pinky lipsticks. I have no reason to buy anything else, but it's an addiction. It's not hurting anybody. I'm just gonna add a little more blush. And then I do like to set this, and I'm gonna use my MAC Studio Fix. I just ordered their newer version of this. Cannot wait to try that. Now I'll do this, like I said, this is like a night out. This is what I'll do. I would just set with a normal loose powder if this was just like not going out for the night. But oh, you can't beat Studio Fix. It's so good. And for under my eyes, I do like to use a lighter pink. This one is the Easy Bake from Huda Beauty. I'm just gonna take a little, I like to do this very lightly. I don't like a lot of powder under my eyes. And I'm gonna go back with a little bit more of that blush. Let me take my mascara. What did I do with that? Here it is. I'm gonna do another coat of this mascara. And I'm gonna just put a little on the outer corner. But remember, no bottom eyeliner for me. I don't like it. Now, what I can do, and what I do sometimes as a final touch, is I'll take a black shadow and a very tiny brush, and I'll just kind of define that crease just a little bit with a black. And that is my signature look. Let me take my hair down. I haven't really done anything with my hair, but I'm gonna do another video talking about the volume and doing a tutorial on that. But I haven't styled my hair today, so this is just from waking up. Yeah, it needs a little work, but you can get the gist of it. So this is the signature look. This is what I do when I want to feel just really glam, and I don't know, when I have this makeup on, I feel like me. Like it feels like me. And whenever I don't do this makeup look, and let's say it's like for a special night out or a photo shoot, I just don't feel like I look like me. So that's why this is a signature look, because I don't know, it's one of those things. So that is it. So my goal with this channel, if you've stuck around, thank you. And my goal with this channel, oh, let me set my face. I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury. So good. My goal with this channel is really to be an encourager, to help you age with style, age with glam, and aging is simply a different stage in life, and just because we're over 50 does not mean we're done with feeling glamorous and pretty. And that's really what I want to show, is that don't let age stop you. I mean, look, I'm taking a big chance starting up kind of a new career at 57 and starting at my YouTube. It's never too late to follow your passion. And my passion has always been hair, makeup, glam. I mean, that's what I've done for all of my career. And I'm just really happy to be in this space where I can continue to evolve, and I want to evolve with a wonderful community. So I would love for you to join me on this journey as I start this next chapter. Please like and subscribe. Leave me comments on what you'd like to see me create. I will be doing skincare. I will be doing lots of different makeup looks, reviewing products, just sharing all what's in my brain, everything that I've learned over the last 35 years of working in beauty, and really calling out some truths. I am not above spilling the tea, so to speak. And I'm looking forward to just getting creative. So thanks so much again for watching and hanging out, and let me know what you think of my signature look. All right, until next time, bye.